प्रेजेंटेड बाय Ebix कैश। हर खुशी के लिए काफी है।
Hello and welcome. You're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. Here are the headlines tonight. Record run continues on Dalal Street. Sensex jumps over 450 points. Nifty ends above 18,450. Banks, metals gain. Paras Defence hits 20% upper circuit after board approves new subsidiary with Krasny Defence. Closes at 750 rupees. Deluge of IPOs on Dalal Street. Nykaa, Jhunjhunwala backed Star Insurance and Adani Wilmar among 6 IPOs approved by SEBI. Later on the show, we get you exclusive conversations with our market guru, Prashant Khemka. China records first economic slowdown since COVID-19. July to September GDP growth falls sharply to 4.9%. Markets continue to show strength, adding to the gains that we saw last week. Benchmarks touching new life highs in trade, led by gains in index heavyweights, ICICI Bank, ITC, Reliance and Infosys. Nifty touching a fresh high again. It's a fresh record of 18,543 before closing the day up about 100 odd points there, 0.7%. Sensex also closing close to 500 points once again, hitting a fresh high of 61,963 this session, closing at 61,765. Strong Q2 earnings, a record vaccination drive and revival in demand ahead of festive season are seen as strong factors supporting those higher moves. Metal, banking, IT, some of the pockets that did well and closed with gains of between 2 to 4% across those sectoral indices. Top Nifty gainers, Hindalco, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, JSW Steel, Tata Motors on the top of the charts there. If we take a look at the screen, Hindalco up over 5%. The tech majors still seeing strong moves coming in. So metals, commodities and a Tata Motor continuing to see gains as well. In terms of laggards, we had Dr. Reddy's, Asian Paints, Britannia, some of the names there on the downside, about on average about a 2% cut coming in and a mixed bag there. But clearly some of the defensives just sitting out somewhat in trade. Paras Defence was once again the star of Dalal Street, locking in at the 20% upper circuit mark after its board approved the formation of an associate company to maintain, service and repair defence equipment. The new company will be formed in a JV with Krasny Defence Technologies Limited. Paras today was up about 125 rupees, closing at 750.35 rupees. That's over 300% higher than its issue price of 175 rupees per share. 3 major public issues expected to hit markets soon. SEBI has green-lighted the IPOs of Star Health Insurance, Adani Wilmar and fashion retailer Nykaa. Now, Star Health Insurance, the largest private sector health insurance in the country, is looking at raising 5,500 crore rupees. It comprises a fresh issue of 2,000 crores and an offer for sale for the rest by existing shareholders. One of the big investors in Star Health is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. Adani Wilmar is meanwhile looking at raising 4,500 crore rupees via fresh equity. The prospectus had been put on hold by SEBI for a few weeks. The brand owns the Fortune brand of edible oils, and this will be the 7th from the Adani Group to be listed. The third big IPO is that of FSN E-Commerce Ventures. That's the parent of fashion retailer Nykaa. The issue will raise 3,500 to 4,000 crore rupees for the company via a combination of fresh equity and promoter equity sale. The issue values the company at around $5 billion. China, the world's second largest economy, is witnessing a sharp slowdown in its growth rate as power shortage, supply chain disruptions and a struggling real estate sector limited July to September GDP to just 4.9%. Here's more on the big Chinese slowdown.
The dragon isn't down and out, but it is breathing slow for sure. At 4.9%, Chinese GDP grew the slowest in the July-September third quarter this year. This was slower than 7.9% in the second quarter and significantly down from 18.3% in the first quarter. Data from China's National Bureau of Statistics suggest the country's economy is hurting from a slew of challenges, including power shortages, supply chain bottlenecks, and major wobbles in the property market. All this raises pressure on policymakers to to do more to prop up the faltering recovery. Despite the drop in growth, the government says it is confident the targets will be met.
On the whole, the economy continues to recover and the trend towards high-quality development is constantly changing. And it has the ability and conditions to complete the expected goals and tasks for economic and social development throughout the year.
The world's second largest economy is facing several major challenges, including the Evergrande Group, which is struggling with debts of more than $300 billion, ongoing supply chain delays, and critical electricity crunch, which sent factory output to its weakest since early 2020, when heavy COVID-19 curbs were in place. Meanwhile, there are signs that the worst may not be over yet. The fallout of the energy crunch is expected to continue. The only bright spot was September retail sales, which grew at a better rate than expected. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Festival season is turning unaffordable for some, with prices of staples like tomatoes and onions zooming in the past few days. Unseasonal rainfall in Karnataka and Maharashtra have hurt supplies to mandis, and prices have gone through the roof.
Preparing the festival thali is getting costlier this season. The reason? Unseasonal rains. The streets of Delhi were inundated in rainwater as the national capital witnessed 88 mm of rainfall in just 24 hours. But it was here, in the farms of Karnataka and Maharashtra, that the real impact was felt. Onion and tomato crop destroyed by excess water in the fields. Tomato supplies from Maharashtra dipped on incessant rainfall in the state in the last fortnight of September. According to reports, supplies to Madanapalle wholesale market in Andhra Pradesh, one of the biggest in Asia, has plunged to about 20% of the normal.
पीछे से ही जो खेतों में से माल बहुत कम आ रहा है, ये सर 1200, 1300, 1400 रुपए क्रेट हो रहा है. हमें भी सर 50 रुपए से ऊपर 55 रुपीज केजी खरीद पड़ रहा है सर. सिर्फ ये कस्टमर की तसल्ली के लिए हम रखते हैं सर. इसमें कोई प्रॉफिट नहीं है सर.
सब्जी महंगा इसलिए हो रहा है, पीछे से महंगा आ रहा है, डीजल पेट्रोल महंगा हो रहा है. जब महंगा आ रहे महंगा बेच रहे.
Onion prices meanwhile have shown a cyclical increase, forcing the government to release 67,000 tons of onions from its buffer stock to key markets, with the expectation that prices will cool in the next few days. However, traders and farmers are still crying hoarse over the steady rise in diesel prices, up more than 20 rupees a litre this year, which increases their transportation cost. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Netflix's sleeper hit Squid Games has turned into the network's biggest blockbuster ever, with more than 132 million viewers. The most watched show is expected to have a value impact of nearly $900 million, far more than the $21 million it cost to produce. The Korean horror thriller, replete with violence and gore, has seen Netflix shares gaining 6.6% since its release on the 17th of September. One of the breakout roles in the show is that of Abdul Ali, a Pakistani immigrant in South Korea, a role played to perfection by Indian actor Anupam Tripathi. Business Today TV's Ayush Alabadi caught up with him. Here's a slice of that exclusive conversation.
This sort of seems like a watershed moment because in India, we're big fans of K-dramas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And after this role of yours, it was refreshing to see Indian talent in a Korean show. Do you think that this would spell out some more diversity in the future, perhaps, in Korean shows, in K-dramas and stuff?
I hope, because I was always hoping for it, because I wanted a proper representation, like not somebody like for the only image acting and all. No, I'm an actor. I worked, studied shoulder to shoulder with my Korean friends and all. They were always backing me up, and I was always with them too. So it's in the same process, the way I have learned, I have kept that same feeling outside also in the industry. And that have kept me going to create that, what I wanted to, like, I I want to represent more as an actor myself, or through myself, I want people from other foreign country, foreign actors get more better roles in Korea. Those who are really passionate about acting or who know the craft of acting. So I do work for it, and if I have an opportunity to share with my friends, foreign friends, I do share it, because I don't want to do it alone. If I got an opportunity where I can't go, I will definitely send somebody else to fill the shoes in a very beautiful way, if through the craft of acting or work. I tried, and it will open up. I think market is opening up because of the OTT platforms, Netflix, and Netflix have helped everybody. For us, it's like in 190 country. Who imagined, like me? It happened, just a dream.
Our global business editor, Udayan Mukherjee, sat down for a conversation with the founder of White Oak Capital, Prashant Khemka. Listen in to an excerpt of this conversation.
Welcome to the Business Today Market Special. I'm Udayan Mukherjee. With me is my co-host Abha Bakaya, and our guest today on the show is Prashant Khemka, founder of White Oak Capital, and he was also the former Chief Investment Officer of Goldman Sachs Asset Management for many years. So quite a veteran of Indian market and of course emerging markets at large. Prashant, it's very good to have you on the show today. Let me begin by asking you for a more general sense of the market, because markets have rediscovered momentum. They're moving very fast once again. Are you comfortable, or are you getting the sense that this is a bit of a blowout kind of a bull market, where the market might actually end up pricing in much of the anticipated earnings growth and good news well in advance?
Certainly. Thank you, Udayan. First of all, pleasure to be here on your show. Certainly, when market moves as sharply as it has over the last 18 months or so, albeit it started from a very low point, no doubt, but still small caps are up nearly 250%, large caps are up well over 100%. It does give some feeling of discomfort, no doubt. Regardless of the fact that we as a team firmly believe that markets, from a top-down or macro perspective, going in, we believe that markets are fairly valuing all the macro considerations and their fair value of future cash flows and so on. With that caveat, it does feel somewhat discomforting. Reminds me of years like 2006-7 or 2017, particularly when it comes to the small cap segment, where we think it is more heated at this time.
How do you think this will end up, Prashant? Do you see a very sharp correction happening sometime down the line, or do you see a bigger runway of a blowout and the market's getting really heated and elevated in terms of valuations before such a correction might actually materialize?
Certainly. So I would say it's impossible to say, not very difficult, but I'll reiterate, impossible to say. Right now, there is a confluence of fundamental and tactical factors at play, which can arguably, one can rationalize that justify the current market levels at an aggregate level. So first of all, global multiples are at historical highs as well. So it's not just Indian market multiples, but global multiples. And Indian markets cannot be in isolation with compared to the global multiples. So US markets, which long-term average have traded mid-teens, currently are in the low 20s. Accordingly, Indian markets, which historically on average have traded in high teens, are currently in the mid-20s. So that context of global markets being where they are relative to their historical past is important when keeping in mind where Indian markets are relative to their historical past. We can discuss whether the global markets are themselves carried away or they're reasonably valued and so on, if that is of interest. Now, coming to certain tactical factors, China just recently, few months ago, from an investor's perspective, committed a blunder by destroying several companies or segments of the markets altogether. Maybe it serves a certain domestic policy, but from an investor's perspective, that's highly undesirable. That has made or reinforced what has always been a very strong point working in favor of Indian market, which is the democratic institutions, the judicial framework, which allow corporates to challenge government actions and take even government to the court, so that property rights, laws that we take for granted in India are not necessarily as strong across the global emerging market world. With all their shortcomings that they have in India, they're far better than most of the emerging market world. And that's all of a sudden come to be recognized by the market once again. And that is helping those multiples in breaking away from China as well as from global emerging markets overall. So these are two, when we think of the multiple, these are important aspects to keep in mind. Besides this, on a corporate earnings, corporate profitability perspective. So one is the multiple and the other is the earnings, which drive the market, as you know. On the earnings front, we after a long time had fiscal year 21, which delivered mid-teens earnings growth after nearly a decade or so. Despite fears of -20, -30% earlier in the year because of pandemic. And more than just the last year, expectations for this year and going forward are for very robust growth, 25% plus kind of growth this year. Again, a confluence of factors, supply chain disruptions, both domestically as well as globally, have helped consolidation of market share in favor of listed larger corporates. When I say listed larger, not only large cap companies, but even a small cap listed company is larger than vast majority of the mom and pop companies. And so there has been a consolidation in favor of these companies, both in terms of top line and bottom line, that has boosted earnings. And global supply chain disruptions also have caused a boost for several of the sectors in the market, and hence driving the strong corporate earnings growth. So both multiples and corporate earnings have risen over the last 12 to 18 months.
When we started, you spoke about how the small cap index has gone up 250%. I mean, from a tactical perspective, as a fund manager, would it be fair to say that you're feeling more comfortable at the larger end of the market now after such a sharp rally? Could you even have moved some money from maybe down the market cap chain from small caps and mid caps to large caps because of the ferocity of the rally at the lower end of the market?
That is a fair observation, Udil. And the way it works is not necessarily from a top-down perspective with the portfolio manager on the team making a decision to move the money necessarily. But if the team had done nothing, let's say, just sheerly because of the strong outperformance in the small cap portion of the portfolio might have become twice as large as it was, say, 1.5, 2 years ago, right? But from time to time, as the team evaluates the investment opportunities in front of it, they likely to have trimmed more than they would have added in small caps. As a consequence, the large cap weight of the portfolio has increased compared to the small caps in the portfolio. It's very crucial, I think, at this time. As I was saying, it is more reminiscent of 2006-7 time frame or 2017 time frame, I would say more so, where small caps had such a huge rally. And today's market is up. The small caps are up 50% compared to what they were in 2017. And 2017 was regarded as a multi-year high for small caps, right? So yes, 4 years or less than 4 years have elapsed from the peak of Jan 2018 for small caps. And we're up more than 50%. So the multiples of several of these small caps, particularly you have to be careful if when you look at, certainly not something that the team evaluates or invests in, but at the risk of generalization, in poorly governed companies, there seems to be greater euphoria at this time, which is again coincidental with prior peaks in small caps.
Let me ask you, since you spoke about lower quality stocks, etc., but the end of the market which seems to be really firing now over the last few weeks is the public sector universe. I mean, not just public sector banks, but the Coal Indias, NTPCs of the world have also started moving after a very long time. But usually high quality portfolios don't have a lot of these names. What about your funds? How are you approaching them?
So at present, we do not own any of these companies. We have historically tended to not have much exposure in these companies globally. I mean, even when I used to manage global emerging markets strategy, we would have very minimal exposure to SOEs, be it in China, Brazil, or anywhere else in the world. That's not much different here at White Oak as well. Though we continue to always remain open and never say never attitude, because if we truly are going to enter into a once in a lifetime or a once in an era privatization mode, Air India has recently concluded sale, then there could be certainly opportunities here that would, solve the problematic issues that have kept us skeptical of the space in the past.
Watch the entire interview with our market guru this week, Prashant Khemka of White Oak Capital, only on businesstoday.in. That's all from us on the show today. Thanks so much for watching.